shall I start?
I see, yeah.
Let me introduce the topic, okay?
Please.
Okay. So, Yahya, back again, brother. Nice to see that. So you were trying to tell me, basically, that Jesus wasn't crucified, and you brought two scriptures for me, okay? You said, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed to his Father, saying, if it's possible, may this cup be taken from me, okay? And then you went straight to Hebrews 5 after that. Let's see where it is. And I think, roughly speaking, in Hebrews 5...
Hebrew, I can give you straight away. Hebrew 5, verse number 7.
Yeah.
During the days of Jesus' life,
Yeah,
he
thank you.
offered prayer and petition and with loud cry and tears to the one who could save him from death,
Yeah.
God. And Jesus, was heard by God because of his reverent submission.
Okay, great. So I come to that point, because I think the point you're trying to make, tell me if I've summarized this correctly, is you're saying that Jesus appealed to his Father in the Garden of Gethsemane, saying, please, may this cup be taken from me, okay? And then you're jumping to Hebrews 5, where it says, actually, Jesus' pleas were heard.
Okay.
Therefore, you're coming to the conclusion that Jesus did not go through with the crucifixion, that actually what God did is he saved him from the crucifixion. Is that your case?
This is my case.
Okay. Now, let me go back and let me tell
Put
you...
all your fact, and I will put all my fact, and let's discuss it.
Yes, that's what I want to do now.
To find common ground.
I'm not sure we can find common ground on this
Let's
one.
see.
Okay, because I think
This is
either he
our
was
challenge.
crucified or he was
Yalla.
not. But I don't
Okay.
think you can really find common ground on the two. But anyway, let's
carry
go
on.
to
You
the
start.
passage. Let's go to the passage that Yahya was originally talking about. And let's read it, because actually it's a really beautiful passage. It's a really poignant passage of just exactly what it was Jesus went through for mankind, okay? Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, my Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet, not as I will, but as you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Could you men not keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked Peter. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. Let me just read that last verse again. My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. So what he's saying is, God has not taken the cup away. We can see from the context that actually Jesus is having to go back and pray again and say, if it's not possible, if this is the only way that I drink this cup, then may your will be done. Because wait a minute, what's the cup that Jesus is talking about? It's the cup of God's wrath. It's the cup of God's anger that needs punishment. And how is God going to exercise that punishment? Rather than on us who deserve that punishment, Jesus is going to take that punishment on himself on the cross, which is exactly what Jesus has predicted. He said, I have come to give my life as a ransom for many. At least 12 times in the Gospels, he says that the Son of Man must be killed and crucified on the third day. The third day he will rise again. But wait a minute. And then we go on. That was from Matthew. Matthew says very clearly, I'm not going to look it up, otherwise we'll spend too long looking stuff up. But Matthew says very clearly, Jesus died on the cross. Mark says very clearly, Jesus died on the cross. Luke says very clearly, Jesus died on the cross. John says very clearly, Jesus died on the cross. Okay, but let's look at Hebrews, because actually Yahya was appealing to Hebrews 5 to say that actually this is meaning that Jesus didn't die. But let's look very carefully at the text and see if it actually says that. Okay, Hebrews 5:7. During the days of Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death. And he was heard because of his reverent submission. Now, does it say here that Jesus was saved from death? Yeah. Does it say that?
when you finish, allow me, please.
Just ask me the question.
Talk as much as you like. When you finish, just give me the signal to talk.
Sir, just tell me very clearly, does it say here, because this is the claim you were making from this verse, does it say here in Hebrews 5:7 that Jesus was saved from death? Let me read it again. During the days of Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission.
So now it's my turn. According to the teaching of Jesus, who teach, knock and it will be open, seek and you will find, ask and you will be given. So he went further and pray. He's asking, knocking on the door. Practically, God didn't respond to him and he let him down. So the teaching of Jesus wasn't he knocked and God, he turned blind eyes to him. He didn't hear him. He seek God's help when he's in need. He didn't help him. He asked to take away from the cup of death. God, his will of God, he didn't. God didn't respond. And this is where my problem is. So the teaching of Jesus about knock, seek, and it's no point of this teaching. And why I'm saying that? Because the Bible and Ezekiel 18, 20, 22, the soul who sinned is the one who will die. The son will not share the guilt of the father, nor will the father share the guilt of the son. Share the guilt of the father. So the righteous is for the righteous, credited to him, and the wickedness of the wicked be charged against him. So but it says as well, if a wicked soul a wicked man turn away from all the sin he has committed and keep all my decree and does what is just and right, he will be surely live. He will not die. So God is unjust here as he's blaming somebody's sin on the shoulder of innocent person, which make God is unjust to the son. And God teaching you clearly in Ezekiel, if the wicked soul turn away from the wickedness and turn and do good deed, all their wicked sin will be forgotten, will be forgiven. So there is salvation of the wicked if he turn away, because God and Matthew it teach God wants mercy, doesn't want sacrifice. And how God the merciful one would accept a human sacrifice to forgive others.
Okay, Yahya, we're going to just wrap this up real quick. I'm going to say something and you're going to say something. Okay.
To wrap up,
because I'll tell you why I'm trying to wrap up. I'm trying to wrap up because actually you're not making an argument. Your argument is falling about your ears, because all you're doing is you're refusing to look at the context of the verse of what it's actually saying. You're just cherry picking. Again, you do this a lot, sir, and you need to stop it, because it makes you look a bit silly. Frankly, just getting loads of cherry picking loads of verses that you've already supports your argument that you've already formulated in your head. And here's the deal. Here's the deal. What the Bible? I don't know. Sir, let me finish. Because the Bible teaches very, very clearly Jesus died. Jesus died. Mark teaches Jesus died. Matthew teaches Jesus died. Luke teaches Jesus died. John teaches Jesus died. Acts teaches Jesus died. All the letters of Paul teaches Jesus died. The whole of the Old Testament teaches that Jesus is going to die. Okay? And Yahya is trying to tell me, cherry picking two verses that don't even say so, that Jesus didn't die. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop doing this, sir. You've got to stop doing it.
All the apostles, they fled away and deserted him. So Jesus, when he was taken to be crucified, all his apostles ran away from him and they deny him. And this is confirmation. And even the women which was watching the crucifixion, they was watching from a distance. So even there is contradiction about who was carrying who was carrying the cross when they bring him to be crucified, because they bring somebody else and he took the cross. And I have the evidence here. But every time I try to give you from your own Bible, you come and you mocking me. And this is, I'm telling you, Jesus, when he say, ask and you will be given. If I ask you for a fish, you don't give me stone. And Jesus asking God to save him. And look, you will find that God sent him an angel to strengthen him and to tell him that he will be saved from death, because God wouldn't accept his son to be humiliated. Because
Yahya,
if we go to
Yahya, you are getting the Bible, you're picking the bits that you want, and you're making your case, and you're having to get a big black marker and scrub out all of the bits of the Bible that you don't agree with. Why is it confusing? Mark says Jesus died, Matthew says Jesus died, Luke says Jesus died, John says Jesus died, Acts says Jesus died, all the letters of Paul says Jesus died, Hebrews says Jesus died, Revelation says Jesus died. The whole Old Testament predicts that the Messiah will die.
Give me evidence. Give me evidence.
Oh, okay.
Give me evidence. And
we could do this. We can do this if you like.
I will give you mine.
Matthew, and when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. Jesus died. Let's go to Mark.
I would like to mention the sign Jesus, peace upon him, said 3 days and 3 nights.
With a loud cry, Mark 15, Jesus breathed his last.
And the whale, and the bottom of the whale. Did Yanis was alive or dead? And the belly of the whale, he was alive. And Jesus, he never died because he was away three nights according to you.
Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. This is Luke. When he said this, he breathed his last. That's Luke. Shall I go on? I can be here a long time.
Please go on, please.
John. Okay. When he'd received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed up his head and gave his spirit. Gave up his spirit. That's John 19.
What did he say when he gave up his spirit?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, please. This is verse 33 in John 19. But when they came to Jesus and found that he was already dead.
So Jesus, we are waiting for the second coming of Jesus. He will come and he will live till he get old, then he will die again. So the only person who will die twice is Jesus. Because no one died but only once. Only Jesus.
Put him to death by nailing him to the cross.
Will die twice.
Acts 2:23. You want me to carry on going through the Bible? References to Jesus' death? I can keep going. I can keep going. All the way through the Bible. This is quite a good thing to do, actually.
If he died on the cross, that makes
That's 5 books now that all say that he died on the cross. When are you going to accept that he died on the cross, Yahya?
Because
when are you going to accept that?
Or are you
just going to scratch it out of your scripture, scratch it out of your Bible, scratch it out of your mind? What are you going to do?
Let me what you're doing. You are making God the Father sadist, a criminal, and just, and forgiving, and loving a criminal by sending an innocent to die for the sinner, and just for the Son, as he accepts his blood to forgive others, make him a bloody Dracula, to accept the blood, to drink it, because there's no salvation but by the blood. So your repentance, your good deed, it doesn't count. God doesn't like to forgive, doesn't love anyone. Your God is lover of blood only. Do you agree with me or not?
Wait a minute.
Do you agree with me or not? Your God is a bloody sadist, criminal, and just a loving God.
Now.
Yes.
Wait a minute. No, I'm not agreeing with you, sir. I'm not agreeing. Okay. Okay. Or don't you know? Don't you know that all of us who were baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? That's Romans. Jesus' death mentioned in Romans. Okay.
Okay.
So you listen. You can make your theological. You can make your theological assertions. You can make your theological assertions that you think it makes God a sadist. Blah 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 blah. We're not talking about that. We started off this conversation. Wait a minute, because you're going all over the place now. You started off this conversation saying, actually, John tells us in the Garden of Gethsemane that Jesus was heard, and that actually Hebrews 5:7 says that he was rescued from death. Your point was that the Bible teaches that Jesus didn't die. Wrong, 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 wrong. I could stay here for another couple of hours reading out references to where Jesus died, references to his death, reference to how Jesus predicts his own death, references to how the Old Testament predicts that Jesus will die. I could be here for a long time, okay? And now you can either...
I'm with you.
Okay, and you can't bring me any amount of verses. You can't bring me any amount of verses that proves to me that the Bible doesn't teach that. The Bible teaches very, 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 very clearly that Jesus died. If you want to bring another issue, how you don't like it, how in your view you think like it makes God a sadist, let's have another conversation about that. But I want to nail this once and for all. Yeah, I'm not talking to you about this anymore because it's making you look silly. The Bible teaches over and over and over again that Jesus died. Accept it. Move on, deal with it. If you don't like why God sent him to the cross, that's fine. Actually, Jesus chose to go to the cross. He said, the reason my Father loves me is not because anyone takes my life away from me, it's because I lay it down of my own accord. If you want to talk about how you don't like the theology of it, fine, we can have another conversation. But I've read you reference after reference after reference, and I could go on, that it teaches very clearly that Jesus died. Thank you.
Luke number 22,
I'm done.
43.
I'm done. I'm done. I need a cup of tea.